Hello and welcome to another Python video. In this video I will be explaining while loops, dictionaries, and at the end we will have a small challenge which I'll explain just before we start the challenge. So first of all we are going to talk about while loops. So a while loop is essentially a loop that will run whilst something is true. So for however long something is true, then the loop will run. So the command that is inside the while loop will run. As soon as that becomes not true, so false, then it stops. So this is going to be a really simple example. So we're going to create a variable. So num, it's going to be short for number. I suppose we could just put number. And then we're going to start off at 1. So the variable number holds the value of 1. Now we're going to create a while loop. So to do that, we just type while, and we are going to call the variable. So we're saying while number is less than or equal to the number 10, then I want you to do something. So I'm going to say print number. Okay, so when we run this, you will see down the bottom here that it is just going to keep, the program's going to keep on running, and it's not going to stop until we actually physically stop it. So you can see it's just looping over and over and over, and if I stop it, then you can see how many times the program has run. So what it's doing here is you are setting the value of number to number 1, and you're saying to Python that while the number is less than or equal to 10, then do this. So this is going to run forever until you stop it, because this number is always going to be less than 10. So something else you can do is you can say that for however long that number runs, I want you to print the number, but I also want you to add 1 to the number. So if I run that, we're going to get this here. So it's just going to count from 1 to 10. So Python's going to come down and it's going to go, well, number is less than 10, which it is, it's 1. It's going to print this, and then it's going to add 1 onto the variable number. So this is now, once this loops once, this is now essentially becoming 2. Then it will run it again, it will check, so 2 is still less than 10. It's going to run all this again, then it's going to move to 3, and it's going to carry on and on and on until it gets to 10, and then it's going to see that when it gets to 11, so it's ran number 10, it's going to get to 11, and it's going to look at this, and it's going to, this is going to be number 11. So it's going to say, well, this number is no longer less than or equal to 10, so it's just going to stop, and it's no longer going to run. So that is very basics of a while loop. So what we can do is we can also say, if we put message, so we've got an empty variable, so I've got a variable called message, but there's nothing in it. So we are going to also say while the message does not equal no, and do something, and here we are going to say message is equal to input. I'll explain what we're doing in a minute. Tell me your secret. Type no if you don't want to. So I'm just going to run this. So hang on, let me just put a space there. Okay, so what this is doing, we've created a variable called message, we've left it blank. We're saying that while the message does not equal no, then do something. So we want Python to ask this question. Tell me your secret, or not ask a question, but give a command. Tell me your secret, type no if you don't want to. Whatever you type in here is going to be stored into this variable, which then transfers up to here. So I've written down at the bottom here, my secret is I like cheese. So that is the same as Python going, my secret is I like cheese. So as soon as I've typed that into here, Python has, behind the scenes, essentially put it into here, and then it's going to print that message. So that's what you see here. And because it's a loop, it's just going to go back, and it's going to do it again. It's going to do it again and again and again. So this part here is not equal to no, is this loop is going to keep on until this message says that. So obviously type no if you don't want to. So I've typed in no, so Python has just said that message is now equal to no. So then that now becomes false, essentially, because while the message is not equal to no, then do this. And now the message is equal to no, so it's going to stop. So it goes against what we have put in here, which is not equal to. So that's, again, another simple example of a while loop. So we can also use what are called flags. So we can empty this. We can put another variable here. Let's call this flag, and let's set this to true. So this is a boolean. So remember, you've got true or false. So we're going to say while flag. Now if we just simply say that, that automatically says that while the flag is true. Then we want to, so while the flag is set as true, we want to run this. Now, if we use a flag, the only real way that we can stop this is to, the only real way we can get the user to stop it by typing no is if we use an if statement, because we've now taken away that is not equal to no. So if they type in no, all it's going to do is just set no in here, display no, and then run again, because there's nothing actually stopping it. We are relying on this to become false in order to stop the while loop. So we can check that by running an if statement. So you can put an if statement inside a while loop. You just have to remember that it has to be indented so that it remains inside the while. As soon as you put it as soon as you unindent it, so you start it here, then it won't be included as part of the while loop. So I'm going to put it here. So what we can say is if the message is equal to no, then we need it to do something. So again, it needs to be indented again so that this next command knows that it runs inside the if statement, which then also runs inside the while statement. So we want to change, so if they type in a message, we need to change the variable from true to false. So we want to change flag to false. If they don't, then just continue with the while loop and just print the message. So tell me your secret. So I'm just going to say my secret is I like bacon. So it says here my secret is I like bacon. It's printed it twice, so I can get rid of this one. Let's just run that again. So there we are. So if I ran it again and said no, then it just finishes it, because Python will, the empty variable we've explained, we've got a flag that has been set as true. Again, the flag doesn't have to be named flag, it can be named anything because it's a variable. So while the flag is true, which it is, then I want you to run all of this. So it's going to come down here, it's going to ask the question first, the message, it's going to put whatever you put into here, inside here. It's then going to check, it's going to check the message. So it's checked the message and the message doesn't say no, so it's not going to run this because it doesn't equal no. So it's going to then just run this else and it's going to print the message. Now if I typed in no, so if this now said no, it's going to ask me for my secret. I've typed in no, it's placed it in here, it's going to come down to the if, and it's going to see that message now equals no. It's going to set the flag to false, and that's it. It's going to turn this to false, so it's now going to check while the flag is true, which it isn't because it's now set as false, and then it's going to stop running basically. So That's another example of using a while loop. We can. There's not much else really that I can talk about with while loops. Hopefully it'll make more sense as we use it. But what you can do is you could use a while loop to remove people from a list and add them to another list. So I'm gonna just write out. Let's say, so you've got a list of names of people that are good friends. So equal to. I'm going to say John, Jill. I'm really good with names. Jill, Bill, Freddie, and one more, Marie. Create another one saying bad friends, and that's going to be empty. So we've got two lists: a list of good friends, list of bad friends. So what I'm going to do now, so I can create. First of all, I'm going to print the good friends. Okay, so you can see it down here. It's just printed good friends and bad friends. So now what I'm going to do is run a while loop. So what this is going to, actually, let me write it out and then explain. So while good friends is true. So what that's saying is while there are names or values in here to go through, then carry on. So that's when it says, when we put while good friends like this, it basically means while it's true, and when it's true, it means that it's holding values. This technically would be false because there's nothing in there; it's empty. So while good friends has values inside it, then we want to pop the end one. So remember when I explained about lists, you could use pop. It should remove something from a list, but it would still make it usable. So it basically transfer it into a variable that we can use. So we can say current friend. So now what I want to do is I want to do something with that. So let's say Marie here. So the first name it's going to get to is Marie because it's going to pop it off the end. So it always starts with the end one first. So it's grabbed hold of Marie, taken it out of the good friend, and it's put it into current friend, into this variable. So now currently, this variable here, current friend, holds the value Marie. So now what we want to do is we want to transfer it from current friend, put it into bad friend. So we will then just call the bad friends variable, and we're going to put append. So remember from the lists, append will add a value, a name, whatever you put into that list. So now we will just say current friend. So we're telling Python that we want to grab hold of the bad friends list, we want to append something, and that something is going to be the current friend, which is in here, which is going to be Marie. So now if I print good friends, print bad friends, so this is just going to show you that it has actually been moved. So so what we have here is this is the first print statement. So this is before we run the while loop. So you can see good friends has all the names, bad friends has none. This is after the while loop. So all the names have been taken out of good friends and they have been placed into bad friends. So if you didn't want it in this format, so you want it to make it look a little bit nicer, so what we'd need is we need a for loop. So we would say, for example, print bad fens, then start the for loop. So for every name that is inside bad fens, then I want you to print the name and add the title so it capitalizes it. So I'm going to comment that and comment that. So as you can see, it formats it a little bit nicer, and that is just by running this here. So what we're saying is, for every name that is inside bad fens, so it's going to go through every single name of these that's now in this list, not in this list. Then it's going to print the name, which is held inside here. So the for loop's going to run through, it's going to grab the first name, which is, well, in this case actually Marie, because of the way this works, it pops it off the end and then it places. So Marie will be first, Freddie second, Bill, Jill and John. So in this case, it's going to the first name in the bad list, which will be Marie. It's keeping it in its own little variable called name, and that's why you're calling it down here. The print, so this bad friends is going to be before the loop, because if I ran it after the loop, I mean, you could say that, you could do that still, but it's going to run bad friends every time the loop runs. So you could take away that and you could just say bad friend, and then it would list each name. That's about it with regards to while loops. Obviously there's a lot more to it, but this covers the basics, and it will help us when we have a go at our challenge a bit later on. So now I'm going to go through dictionaries. So a dictionary is similar to a list and a variable in the sense that you're assigning some value to a word, to a variable name. The only difference is dictionaries can go a little bit more in depth, so you can hold many different types of information inside a dictionary. You can also have you can nest other dictionaries and lists inside a dictionary. So, for example, you're going to collect a variable name. Let's say my friend. And dictionaries have curly brackets, so I'm going to just write one out and then I'll talk you through what it is. Okay, so dictionaries have a key value pair. So you can think of a dictionary in Python as the same as a actual dictionary that you would look up words. So you could think of the word, I don't know, the word bat, let's say. So the word bat would be the key. So in this case, name is the key. And then when you look through the dictionary for the meaning of bat, that would be the value. So the answer would be the value. So we've got the name here, which is the key, and Jack here is the value. So it's a key value pair. So they always come in pairs. So what that means is that a bit later on down the line, you can call the key and it will give you the result. It will show you the value of that key. So what I will do is, as an example, I'm just going to print my friend. Okay, so you can see all we're doing here is we are just printing that. But now if I put in square brackets, name, so that's the key, and it's going to print the results. So by just calling the name, so the key value, it's going to return back the value of that key. Now I can change this value if I want to. So I'm going to keep that as it is. So I'm now going to say that my friend name, so that's the key, is now going to be equal to Paul. Let's say he's changed his name. So I run that, and it comes up with Paul. So what we're saying, what we're telling Python is to grab hold of this dictionary. We want to get hold of the key called name, and we want to change that to Paul. So we end up with this being called down here. It's now changed to Paul. So I can also add. So if I get rid of this, just so we can see it a bit easier. Okay, so you can see that it's just holding one key value pair. I can also add by keeping this style, this format, changing this to something that isn't already named as a key. So I'm going to put location. Let's say he lives in the UK. So now you can see it adds onto the end. So this is the style. So by doing this, this basically just adds location UK. So it's the same as it doing that. So it's just called another key and value pair. So that's no different to this, just because it's on the same line. You have a key, value, key, value. If you were to write any more, it'd be key, value, so on and so on. So deleting. Deleting is basically, let me just reprint that. So we've got that. I want to delete. Equals. Don't need that. So by putting delete, calling the dictionary name and the key I want to delete, it's going to delete that. So it just keeps the first one. If I change this to name, it's going to delete name and it's going to keep the location pair. When you have, when you've got a bigger list, so this is quite easy to read because it's nice and straightforward, and it's only got 2 pairs. If you have, I mean, they can hold hundreds and hundreds of pairs. So a better way to format is to put, let's say, my friends, put 1 curly bracket. We're going to move this down. So we're going to put the key here. So in this case, I'm going to do it a little bit different to before. I'm going to say John is the key. And I'm going to put his age, which is going to be 20. Put Marie. 31. So remember, these need to be indented ideally. Frank. 19. And what I also need to do, which I forgot, is to put a comma after each one. So this is a better format. So this isn't really much different to put name and the name John here. All we're doing is we're just saying that John is now the key and the value is his age. So it's just another way of holding information. Now what we could do is if we print my friends and if we just print that now, so you can see it brings it up. But if we want to just call John's age, we can put square brackets and we can put in John. So it brings up 20. So what we can do is we can keep this in a variable, calling John. Further down, we can then say print my friend John is, and call John. Call the variable John here. Say he is old. So we don't need this print here. So it says my friend John is 20 years old. So what we're doing is we are calling into the dictionary here. We're grabbing hold of the key, which is John. We're assigning that to a variable called John, and we're going to print that down here. So we can say my friend John is, we're calling this variable here, 20 years old. Now I don't think we can just put this. So I think I did try to just call this down here rather than creating a variable, and I don't think it works. So we can just try it now. No. So yeah, so that doesn't seem to work. So as far as I'm aware, it needs to be called first, stored in a variable, and then it can be printed a bit later on. So that's just another way of listing things. And then if you wanted to call the values, you'd keep it into a put it into a variable, and then you could call it a bit later on. And if we change this to Frank, it would print Frank's age instead. So we can also loop through. I'm going to change this. I'm going to put my pet. I'm going to put the name. So it's always this format, no matter what layout you choose. You have the key, you have a colon, and you have the value, then a comma. Age. So breed. So what I can do is I will create a for loop. So I'm going to say for key value located in my pet dot items. Then I want you to print key is equal to key title. I'll explain all this in a second. Print value title. So what we're doing here is we are telling Python to run through my pet. Now you've got dot items. So the dot items include all of this. So it includes the key and the value pair. We're storing the key, so these can be anything you want. It's just I've named them key and value, so it's a bit easier to see. So it's coming into this dictionary here. It's going to grab hold of the key. So it's going to loop, let's say the first loop, it's going to grab the name, and it's stored it here. It's going to grab the value. It's stored it here. So now key is the same as name, value is the same as tiny. We've asked it to come down and print key, which is holding the value of name. Title, you should know that already. And then further down, we've told it to grab hold of the value, which in this case is tiny. It's going to loop through again to do the age. So key, value, then loop through once more, key, and value. So if we wanted to get rid of this, so if we get rid of that, I'm going to get rid of this. So we call items, but all we do is provide it with one variable, if you like. You get rid of this. So we get it in this format. So it just prints out the complete line, so the key value pair. So if I change this to key, we're telling Python that all we want is the key. We don't want anything else, we just want the key. So it's just going to run through the loop like it did before, except it's just going to grab the key values. You can see here, name, age, and breed. If I wanted to do just a value, I could change this to value. I could change this to values. Should change this to value as well, so it matches this up here. And there we go. Now I don't think if I hang on, can I change this to actual 4? Okay, so yeah, so I can have integers as well. I think that's probably because I've got the F format. If I got rid of the F format, then it probably wouldn't work. So yeah, so even in the last one I showed you where I had my friends and I put John was age 20, Marie was age 31, Frank was age 19. Technically then I didn't actually need to put them as strings. So for you lot, you can just get rid of the double quotes around the actual age numbers so that it would look something like this instead and it would still run. There was something else I wanted to try. What was that? I wanted to try. Oh yeah, the title. I don't think the title works with this. So if I wanted to, I'm going to put it back to key, just because there's better names. So key. So if I put title on the end of this, oh it does work. Okay, I must have done something wrong earlier. So oh yes, because this was items. That's why. So yeah, it's better if you do just want the key. It's better to actually call the keys. If you want just the values, better just to call the values. If you want to use both, so you want to call everything, then just don't forget to have a variable here ready for the keys and another variable ready for the value. And then you need to change this to items. And then that would call the whole lot. So in this one, I have already written my list of friends out, so you haven't got to sit there and watch me type it. What we can do is we can actually get the user to input a name, and that will check to see if their name is in the friends list or not. So I've got the list, sorry, the dictionary. I've got the dictionary. So what I need to do is ask them what their name is. So I'm going to store that under user input. What is your name? So now what you want to do is you want to check the user input against each name that is inside that dictionary. So we can just put if the user input is not in my friends.keys. So it's the keys we want to look at. We don't care about the ages. It's just the keys. So it's these names that we want to look at. Then I want to print, please add yourself to the list. Then we're going to run an else. So if they're not in the list, print. Sorry, if they are on a list. Sorry, if they are on a list, it seems you are already on the list. So if they're not, if the user input is not in my friends list already, do this. If they are in my list, then do this. So what is your name? So I'm going to pick a random name that's not in my list. So Jason. And it says please add yourself to the list. So it's checked to see if Jason is in here. It's not. So it's ran the last command. Now if I put Frank, it's then going to say it seems you are already on a list. I'm going to run another name just to show you. Put Jill. It seems you are already on a list because it's checking the user input against the names inside here, and then it's going to see. So I haven't tried this actually, so what I'm going to try and do is check it against the ages, so the values. So what is your age? I'm going to change this to values. And I'm just going to keep it the same just to test. So what is your age? So I'm just going to put an age that's not listed on here, so 30. So please add yourself to the list. Good. I'm going to put an age that is there, and it says please add yourself to the list. Okay, so let's have a little look and see what we need to do. Right, so I had a little play about, and it's simply because these are stored as integers, and the input that we've asked is stored as a string. So we just need to convert this to an integer as well, so it matches the values. I'm going to run that and check it. So what is your age? I'm going to put an age that's not in the list, so 20. Please add yourself to the list. I'm now going to put an age that is in the list, so 31. It seems you are already on the list. I'm going to do another age just to double check, so 43. It seems you are already on the list. Okay, so that was the only reason. It's because this wasn't being stored as an integer, which it is now. So we're saying if user input is not in friend's value, if it was the keys you wanted to do, it'd be keys, but for values, it'd be values, then run this, else run this. So that's about it with regards to dictionaries. Now there's a lot more that you can go into with dictionaries. So you can have dictionaries inside dictionaries. You can have lists inside dictionaries, which actually I will go through quickly. So let's go through. I'll pause the video and I'll just write out a new dictionary so you haven't got to watch me write it out. Right, so I've made a list of names, people's names, along with their favourite cars. So as you can see, we created a dictionary. We have the key John. We have the value, which is now a list because we have more than one option. So a list is BMW and a Jag. So it's a dictionary that contains a nested list. So we need to run through it. We still need a for loop. So we're going to say for name and car. So we did this a minute ago in favecars.items because we want to call everything. Now favecars.items, I forgot the open close parenthesis. We're going to print the name, so we're going to print the key name.title, so it looks nice. Favorite car is. Okay, so let's see what it does. Jill, invalid syntax. I didn't put a comma. Okay, so far we've got it running through the names. Okay, so what it's doing is it's coming down, it's grabbing the name, it's keeping it in here, it's grabbing the list, keeping it in here, but we haven't called the value yet, which is why it's only showing the name. So if I came down and I said print car title, what's going on here? Let's get rid of title for a minute. So if we had car, it would just run. It would just print it out as a list. Oh, that's why it wouldn't work as title. So yeah, it would just print it out as a list. Now, in order, remember we have gone through it in this video. In order to get a list to print so it looks presentable, so it looks like this, we need to create another for loop. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to create the for loop indented so it's inside the first for loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for, actually I'm going to just change this to cars. So okay, cars, yeah. So for car in cars, print car. And here we can put the title. Here we go. Okay, so before here, let's just put a new line. There we go. Right, so this might look a bit confusing. So what we're doing is we're creating a for loop. So Python's going to come up here. We've told it the dictionary name, and we told it that we want to grab both the key and the value. We've associated, or we've assigned the key, so the name here, so before the colon to name, and we've associated the list, so the value, to cars. So here we printed the name. So we've called whatever value is inside here, and we've called it here, but we've done nothing with the name with the value at the moment. So this is where the value bit comes in. So don't forget the list, the value is being kept in this here, cars. So we're going to create another loop so that it formats it a bit nicer, and we're going to create a new variable called car, and we're telling Python to look into the cars, which is this one here. Remember, it's holding this value here. So you're going to have the first loop is going to contain John in the name, BMW and Jag in this list format in cars. So when we come down here, it's going to tap into this here, and it's going to grab each individual one. Let's say BMW, and then it's going to print the car. So it's going to print this one. So if you practice that a few times, then eventually it does make sense and it becomes clear. You can also store a dictionary inside a dictionary. Let's just go through that again. Let me just change all this over. Right, so here we've got a list of users. So this bit's the username, first name, last name, location, username, first, last, location, and the same again. So what this is this is a dictionary. We have a key here. Then we have the value is set as another dictionary. So inside this dictionary, we would then also have key, value again, key, value, value, the original dictionary's key, value, and so on and so on. So it's just a dictionary with a key and a value, except the value is being held as a dictionary again. And inside that, you have another key value pair. So if we wanted to list the usernames, first name, last name, and location, first thing we need to do is create a for loop. So it'll run through it all. So we can say for username and user info inside the user list dot item. So this should look familiar. So we're assigning this to be the key. So in this first case, let's just talk about the first loop to make it easy. So we're telling Python to go into the dictionary user list item. So we want it to grab the key and the value. We're holding the key, which is the username in this case, so Haze, inside this variable here. And we are holding the values, all of this information inside the user info. So the first thing we want to do is we're just going to print f username going to be equal. This one's nothing special. It's going to be equal to username. I'm not going to title this because it's the username, so I want it to remain the same. Now I've got loads of errors here. Syntax. So that might be because I need to carry it on. So what this is going to do is this is going to print the that's because I didn't put a comma. I keep forgetting the commas. Right, okay, so all this is doing is it doesn't know what to do with all the information here because we've not called it. So it's just going to grab the usernames and print the username and then the actual user here. So that's all that's doing. So it's forgetting, at the moment it's forgetting about the values because we've not asked it to do anything with the values that are stored inside here. So it's just the username. So we now want to do something with the information that's kept in here. So that's the first name, the last name, and the location. So what we can do is we ideally want it to show the first and last name as normal, not on separate lines. So what we can say is we're going to create a variable that says full name. We're going to make that equal to format. We're going to tap into the user info. Oh, not user name, user info, which is here. So don't forget, this is now storing all of this here because this is the value that's being stored in here. So technically, I'll get rid of this. Actually, we're gonna base it off M Henry because it's easier to read. It's closer. So we've got M Henry. Imagine it's on the last loop. M Henry. M Henry is on here. All these values here is kept inside user info. So now coming down here, we're going to tap into user info, and we want to call. Remember how we call a value? We are going to call first. So that's going to display the first name. Now, after that, we also want it to display the last name all on the same sentence. So we're going to do the same again. We are going to tap into the user info, and it's the last name we want to call. Now, because we've got double quotes here, we can't use double quotes outside. We need to change this to single quotes. Get rid of double quotes. Okay, so we have to close off this curly bracket here, start one, close off the square bracket here. So we are assigning a variable name called full name. We're tapping into the information that's stored in here. We're grabbing the value of the first name, which would be Marie in this case. We're then tapping back into it again, and we're grabbing the value of the last name, which now be Henry. So this will just print a normal sentence that says Marie Henry, or first of all it'll be Jason Haze, and then it will work its way down. So I'm going to print that. So here we go. So we have username, and then we've got first and last name, username, first, last name, username, first and last name. So now we also want to add the location. So get rid of this. So what I want to do is I want to grab location, keep it in a variable, and we're just going to tap back into that user info again. That holds the first name, last name, and location. We're going to tell Python that it's the location key that we want to grab. So we've got all the information stored here. We've got username just stored here, which has then been called here. We don't need to do anything fancy with that because it's just one value that's held in here. Sorry, one key that's held in here. We need to do a bit with the user info because technically we have, even though we've just got a value, it is another dictionary. Now that is why we are coming down here and we are tapping into this main dictionary, the value here, which is being called from the main dictionary using this for loop, and we're telling Python that it's the key value, so the key of first, which holds the value Marie, and then back into it again to grab the last, and that's the same as what we're doing here. Creating a new variable called location, tap into this variable here, which holds the value here, and grab the value of the key location. So now we can actually print them. So we can say print f your full name is full name dot title. So I'm going to print that just to see. Okay, so yeah, we have that here. So now we need to print the location one. Your location is location dot title. Now what I'm going to do is also put a tab in, just because this doesn't look that easy to read. So what I can do is do \t. So there we go. So we've got user J Haze, full name's Jason Haze, location is UK, same. It runs it 3 times. If you had more in this here, it would just keep on running until it printed everyone here. So that's it with regards to dictionaries. Again, just like everything I've taught, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more you can do with it, but that's the basics I'm going to cover. So now we're going to move on to the challenge. Right, so this is the challenge. So you've got to pretend that we are the owner of an elite group. The only way you can join is if you know the secret passphrase, and you have to fill out this form here. So the registration form checks the name of the person against a list of banned users. If they're already on that list, then it will kick them out of the application. If they aren't banned, then it will ask them for the secret joining phrase. Now they have 3 attempts to type it in. If they type it in 3 times wrong, then they automatically get banned. If they get it correct, then it asks them to put in their country and it confirms that they would like to join. If they put in their country and they say yes that they would like to join, then it gets added to an existing list of accepted members which they can view once they have joined. So this is going to cover everything that we have. So this is going to include everything that we've covered in all the lessons. So it's not like I'm asking you to do something that we haven't yet covered. So I can show you it working now. So it says, what is your full name? So what I'm going to do is I already have 2 band members, right, just as a test. So I'm going to type in one of the band members' names. So I'm going to put Terry Crud is one of the band members. So if I say that I'm a band member, I want to try and rejoin, and straight away it says you are banned. Please contact a member of staff to request a review, and that's it. I can't do anything else. So we know that's fine, that works. So what is your full name? I'm going to put just another random name. So I'm going to say Jason Haze. So it says please type in the passphrase exactly. So I'm going to type the passphrase in wrong. So it says let me enter. You got it wrong. You have used 1 out of 3 attempts. So I'm going to say I need to enter. You got it wrong again. You have used 2 out of 3 attempts. And the last one I'm just going to put I don't know. It says you have got it wrong. You've used 3 out of 3 attempts. You've been added to the banned list, and it kicks me out, and I can't do anything else. So now I'm going to run it again. I'm going to say Jason Haze. I'm going to type it wrong again. Let me in. So now I know the passphrase. I'm going to put it in correctly. Let me in. You got it right. Please confirm with a yes or a no if you would like to join. I'm going to say no because I changed my mind. You rejected our offer. Goodbye. It kicks me out of the program. Let's do it again. Let me in. You got it right. Confirm with a yes or no if you'd like to join. Yes. What country do you live in? I'm going to put in Germany. Congratulations, you've been accepted into our group. Would you like to view the other members of the group? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes. And then it lists the members. So these are all the members that are already in the group, and you can see that my name and my country has now been added to the list at the bottom. Now I have one more option to go through. Jason Haze, let me in. Yes. Germany. The last one is, would you like to view the other members of the group? I clicked yes a minute ago. I'm going to say no. It says that is fine. Welcome to the group. So we're going to go through writing this out, and I can explain it all as we go. So I'm just going to pause the video so I can get rid of the code. So I got rid of the majority of it. I've just kept the list of accepted members, which you can see is a dictionary. I've kept a list of band members, which is a list, just to mix it up a little bit. This at the top here is just some fancy print, which is what you see at the top here. So remember I explained to you before that to make a program we need to break it down into smaller problems, if you like. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get hold of the person's name. So that's the first thing. So we're going to create an input. So I'm going to say user full name. Input, what is your full name? Now, I don't want them to write the answer next to the question, so I'm going to put a new line so that they can write it in the line below. So once they put in their name, what do we want it to do? We want it to check against the list of band members. That's the first thing it needs to do, because if they're on that list, they can't do anything else. So the first thing we want to do is check to see if it is in this band members list. Now we should know how to do that. We use an if statement. So we're checking, we're saying if the name is in the band members, then don't do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if username, and I'm going to put title so it makes everything the same. Not in band members. Now I want you to just for the minute do something nice and simple and print say you are not banned. This is a way that we can just check the code. If they are in the band, we're going to say print you are banned. Okay, so that way we can just do this. So when I wrote this code, so I wrote this code from scratch, and when I wrote this, this is the sort of thing I did each time just to double check that it worked. So if I run this, what is your full name? I'm going to put a name that I know is in my banned list, so Terry Crud. You are banned, brilliant. So in your banned list, I'm going to put a name that is not in my accepted list or in my banned list, Jason Haze. You are not banned. Okay, so we know that this function here, this if statement works. So we're saying that if the name that I put in is not inside this list here, then we want it to perform all the code that we're going to write in a minute. If it is in the banned list, it's nice and simple, just get rid of us, that's it. So straight away here, we're going to write in what we had, which was a new line so that it pushed it away from the options so that it was easier to see, because as you can see here, it lists it directly underneath the answer. So we want a bit of a gap between that. And we're going to say, you are banned. Please contact a member of staff to request a review. So that's done. So we've sorted out if someone is on the banned list. We don't need to think about that anymore. So now what do we want to do if they are not in the list? What was it did? It asked them for a passphrase, didn't it? So we need to create a passphrase. So in here, I'm just going to say passphrase is going to be equal to let me in. So that is our passphrase sorted. So if the user is not in the banned list, then the next thing we want to do, so you want to ask user passphrase. We want to ask them what. Oh, sorry, no. Please type in the passphrase exactly. You have three attempts. Create a new line for them to type it in. So I'm just going to run this. What is your full name? Jason Haze. Please type in your passphrase exactly. Brilliant. So I'm going to type whatever I like in here because there's nothing to check, because all we've done is we've just printed this. So it's going to ask us for our passphrase. So now we need a way of checking what they've typed in with this. So again, it's another if statement. So what we're going to say is we're going to indent it so that it runs inside the first if statement, because it's all a follow-on. So they need to not be in the band members to be able to do this. So we're going to say if the user passphrase that they type in is equal to the passphrase that we've set, we need it to do something else. I'm going to say print you got the passphrase correct. So now we need to create the if. Sorry, the else. I'm going to say you got it wrong. So let's just run that. Jason Haze. Please type in the passphrase exactly. I'm going to put the wrong one in. Now we know what the right one is. It says you got it wrong, and it kicks us out. Okay, so Jason Haze, let me in. You got the passphrase correct, and it kicks us out. Excellent. So far we know that it works. Now we want them to have 3 attempts. So if they get it wrong, they're going to have 2 attempts. Get it wrong again, we're going to have 1 attempt. And what we need to do is create a variable. So we are going to say attempts equals 0. Now that is their reset, if you like. So now if they get it wrong, so if they've typed it in, we know that this is going to happen. So it's going to run the else side. Sorry, it's going to run the else side if they get it wrong. So what we want to do is we want to add 1. Every time they get it wrong, we're going to add 1 onto the attempts variable here. So to do that, we can just simply put attempts plus equals 1. So every time they get it wrong, it's going to add it to that. And then we want to also say print if you got it wrong, you have used, we want to call that variable so that we can show them attempts out of 3 attempts. New line again. So let's run that, shall we? See what happens. So let's do Jason Haze. I'm going to type it in wrong. It says you have got it wrong. You have used 1 out of 3 attempts. Now that works, but we need it to start again. We need it to ask us again because we have 2 more attempts. Whereas at the moment it just kicks us out. So what we can do is we can run the. We could put all this in a while loop. So I'm going to put while attempts is less than 3 and do the following. Now because we've created a while loop here, all of this needs to be indented to make sure that it is inside the while loop. So if I select everything I want to indent and just push tab on my keyboard, it will automatically keep the correct indentation but just move it all over so that it's now inside the while here. So I'm going to run this and make sure it works first. So Jason Haze, I'm going to type it in wrong. So now it's going to ask me again, please type in the passphrase again. I'll type it in wrong again, and then wrong again. And then it's kicked me out. So if I run it again, I'm going to say Jason Haze, type it wrong, now I'm going to type it in right. And you've got the passphrase correct, but it's still asking me to type it in again. So let's just have a little look at the code. So we're saying while the attempt's under 3, then run all this code. So if it's under 3, then check to see if the name that they put in is not banned. So it's not. So now I want you to ask for the passphrase. The passphrase is correct. Print this. So we're going to say that you've got the correct passphrase. Else add 1 onto the attempts variable and also notify them that they got it wrong. So in the if passphrase, what I want to do is I want to ask them another question. So they've got it right. I want to say, let me just get rid of this. So if the passphrase is equal to the passphrase, we're going to say, we're going to put it in a variable called confirm. We're going to ask them, we're going to say, do you want to, yeah, so you got it right. Please confirm with a yes or a no if you would like to join. Now this is just an optional bit, so it's just asking them if they would still like to join if they got it right. So we're asking them a question. So we need another if statement. because they've got two choices. They've got yes or they've got no. So we're going to say if the confirm variable, and I'm going to force it to be into lowercase, is equal to yes, then print you are in. Again, just as an example, you are in. Else if. So else. So if you notice, the else's, so the second option is always in line with the start of it. So this first else here is to do with this check. This else here is to do with the passphrase check, and this one, so we're checking to confirm that it's yes. If they haven't put yes, they put no, then I'm going to print fine, goodbye, just as a test. Okay, so I'm going to say Jason Haze, let me in. You got it right. Please confirm with a yes or no if you'd like to join. Yes, you are in. Still asking us for the passphrase. We'll sort that out later. Next, let's just check the no result. If you'd like to join, yes or no. We clicked yes. We are now going to say no. It says fine, goodbye. Okay, so it's making the correct choices depending on if we say yes or no. So the next bit, what was the next thing? Let me just check. The next bit was to ask them their country. So I'm going to say user, country, another variable, and inside that I'm going to say input, what country do you live in? Again, I'll have it as a new tab. And then what country do you live in? So now we need to add them to the accepted members, because this is the last question that we're going to ask them. So all we're doing is we're asking them for the country that they live in. Now they've already said yes, they want to join, so we need to add their details. So it's just the name, the full name, and the location. So we're going to call the dictionary. So if I go up, the dictionary is called accepted members. The format is the key is the full name, and the country is the value. So I'm going to call that. I'm going to say accepted members, square brackets. And remember, when we spoke about dictionaries earlier, we had to call the dictionary, which we've done by saying accepted members. We would put the key inside here. So as an example, I'm going to say that it's Jason Haze. So I don't know if you've noticed, but every time I filled out my form, I've used the same name, Jason Haze, and I've used the country Germany. So just to make it easier for you to see, for the time being, I'm just going to put Jason Haze in here. And then I'm going to put the value that Jason Haze is going to hold, which is the location. So this is going to be, the location is Germany. Okay, so I'm going to change this, but just to make it a little bit easier, because there's a lot of stuff here to see. So we're saying if they put in yes, then do the following. So ask them what country they live in. So now we've asked the last question, so we've got their details. So what we want to do, so we've got their name stored in user full name, and we've got their country list saved in user country. So that's the same as if I just use the details of Jason Haze as a name and Germany as a country. That is the same as me saying I want to add into the dictionary accepted members. I want to add the key, Jason Haze, and the value, Germany. But I can't put that because obviously their name's not going to be Jason Haze and they're not going to live in Germany. So I need to fill this with whatever they type in. All I'm going to say is user full name, and then for here, rather than Germany, I want to grab hold of the country. So it's going to be user underscore country. So I'm also going to add just title onto this. Hopefully that bit makes sense. So all we're doing is we're grabbing hold of the key, which is now going to be up here, sorry, their full name, and I'm storing it in accepted members dictionary, and I'm going to assign the value to that name, that key, which is going to be their country, which is now a user country. So that has been added. So I'm also just going to add at the same time, once that's run, print congratulations, you have been accepted into our group, new line. Right, now once I've done that, I want to, so they've been added to the group, I want to ask them if they want to see the other members. So I'm going to say see members, and I'm going to say input, would you like to view the other members of the group, yes or no, new line. So let's just run that just to see how it goes. Okay, so Jason Haze, let me in. You got it right. Please confirm with a yes or no if you'd like to join. I'm going to say yes. What country do you live in? Germany. Congratulations. You've been accepted into our group, so that's all good. Would you like to view the other members of the group? Yes or no? I'm going to put yes, but we've not actually done anything, so it's just going to resort back to passphrase. Where were we? Okay, so we're here. So we are asking the members if they'd like to see the group. So again, in case you hadn't guessed, it's going to be another if. So I'm going to say if see members, and I'm going to force it into lowercase, equals yes. Then I want to run something. Print, okay, here are the members, just for argument's sake. Now we need to run the else statement, so if they type no, else, we're just going to put here, what was it I wrote, that is fine, welcome to the group. Okay, so they've put in yes, let's say, so if they haven't put in yes, they put no, that's fine, it's just going to run this. Now if they want to see the members of the group, we need to show them the members. So I'm going to put new line, and I'm going to say our members are, so that's just going to print that, new line. So now I want to grab let's go up, I want to grab the names and the location. So I want to grab the keys and the values from here and list them. So I'm going to have a for loop. I'm going to say for name and country in accepted members.items, this should look familiar, then print name is equal to the value that is stored inside names, and print the location, country, let's put this country, and then inside here we want country variable. Okay, so I'm going to run this to check, and then I shall go through it. Oh, so you get an error. Where is it? Here, because I needed to put that. So I needed two equal signs. Let's run this. So Jason Haze, let me in. Yes, Germany. I've been accepted. I'm going to say yes because I want to see the other members. And here we go. So it's printed the members. I'm going to add print some lines just to make it a little bit more readable. So once more, full name, Jason Haze, let me in, yes, Germany, and yes. Okay, so here we go, so it's printed it. Although we've made a mistake here because it is showing this. So this is our one. Okay, so let's go back and see what we did wrong. So, okay, here we are. So rather than that, I need user full name. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. Jason Haze. Let me in. Yes. Germany. Yes. There we are. That's better. So all our members here in a nice format. So we'll just run through what we've done so far. So we have our our first question here, along with our passphrase that they need to get in and the number of attempts. So we're saying while the attempt stays under 3, check to see if the name that they've typed in is in the band members. If it's not, we're going to assume it's not, because if it is, it's simple. It just brings them straight down to here saying you are banned. So if it's not in the band, we want to ask them for their passphrase. Whatever they type in is going to be stored inside the user passphrase, which is going to be here, and it's going to be checked. So we're going to say if the passphrase that they type in is equal to this passphrase here, then I want you to ask them another question to confirm yes or no. If it's wrong, it's going to simply go down to this here. It's going to add 1 attempt to their attempt variable, and it's going to say you got it wrong, and it's going to show how many attempts they have by calling this here, which will now be 1 because we've added it on. If they do it again and it's wrong, because this is already 1 because they failed the first attempt, it's going to add 1 onto it, so it's now going to be 2. When that hits 3, it's not going to allow us to do it anymore because it's going to stop this whole while loop, because we're saying we want all of this to run as long as this remains under 3. As soon as this hits 3, that's it, it's going to stop running, and we're no longer going to be able to join. So where were we? We were checking here. So they've got the passphrase right. We've asked them yes or no if they'd like to join. If they put no, so sorry, here it's checking that. So what we're saying is if the confirm, we're forcing it into lowercase just so that it covers everything. So if they put this into uppercase yes or uppercase no, or capitalize the Y or put it in lowercase, it's always going to check against this. So we're forcing it into a lowercase to compare against this answer here. If they put no, nice and simple again, it's just going to say fine, goodbye, because they didn't want to join. So if they say yes, we want it to do something else. We want it to ask what country they live in. So we're going to ask them, and we're going to store that into user country now. Because this is the last question with regards to the registering, once they type that in, we want to add them to the actual accepted members because they've passed everything. They're not banned, they've got the passphrase right. We've just asked them what country they live in just for our database sake. So what we're doing here is we are now calling into the dictionary. We're telling the dictionary to get hold of the user full name they typed in. We're going to store it so it's nice and capitalized. Yes, the first letter is capitalized just like it is here. And it's going to store that in the key section. So it's going to store it here just like all the other keys. Now we also want to tell Python to get hold of the country here, user country. Again, title it, and keep that in the values section here. So that's all that's doing, nice and simple. And we're also going to print saying you've been accepted into the group. So now the last question is we want to ask if they want to see the other members. If they say no, so that answer is going to be kept in C members. So we're going to check it down here. If they say no, nice and simple again, it's just going to say that's fine, they don't want to see it, welcome to the group. If they say yes, it's going to force the answer, whatever they type into lowercase. If it equals this, then we're going to do the following. We are going to print to say our members are, and it's going to run a for loop. So the for loop is going to just go through all of these here, all these keys and values, and it's just going to print the name. It's going to grab hold of, let's say, the first value here, first key and value, because it's running through the loop once, or first time, and it's going to go into the accepted members dictionary, grab the items, so the keys and the values. It's going to keep the first key in here along with its first value in here. We're then going to print the key here and the value here, and it's going to run through it again, do the second one, store it all in here, print it, third one, until it's done them all. which is what you can see here. So these are the keys value, key value, which is here. Okay, so what else have we got left to do? Now, find goodbye. So I think there's a few bits we need to sort out, because if I remember correctly, so if we say Jason Haze, let me in, and I say no. Okay, so this is the first bit we need to sort out. So if I type no, it's just going to ask them for the passphrase again. So what we want to do is, there's a thing in the while loop called break. So break and continue. So oh, hang on, there's something we didn't do. Oh, so we're down here with the if they type it in wrong too many times, we haven't added the what happens if they reach 3 attempts. So here we put another if statement. So we say if attempts equals 3. So if they type it in wrong 3 times, when they get to 3, we want to add that name. So the name that they have put in, we want to add it to our band members. So we can say if attempts equals 3, band members, we're going to append to it, and we are going to append the user full name. We're now also going to show print you have been added to the band list. Right, now else. We need to put an else statement here, and we need to say continue. I can't even spell continue, that's it. So what this will do is it's going to so I typed it in wrong once, it's going to add 1. It's also then going to check to make sure that it's equal to 3. So it's not equal to 3. So this else statement is we are telling Python to continue. So when we say continue in a while loop, it tells Python to stop what it's doing and come back up and run the whole loop again. So this is going to allow us to keep on until they reach 3. When they reach 3, it's going to see that this is equal to 3. The attempts are now equal to 3. It's going to add us to the band list. So we're putting the full username and we're appending it into the band members. It's going to print this. It's going to start the loop again just because it's finished, and it's going to now come up to here and it's going to see, oh, the attempts is 3. It's just then going to stop. So what we can do is, I won't include this so we can just see what it does. So we'll take away the continue. So full name Jason Haze. I'm going to type it in wrong 3 times. So you've been added to the band list. Okay, so at the moment it runs fine. So we're going to carry on, and at some point, because I did have this error, at some point it will go wrong because we need that continue. So let's have a little look what else we need. So we're going to say Jason Haze, let me in. No. Please type in passphrase. So we still need to sort that out. So let me have a look at what I wrote previously. So if we say that is fine. So what we need to do is what's going on, what's happening is when they type in no, so it's checking this. So it's checking, let me get rid of this. So it's checking to see if they type in yes or no to if they want to confirm to join or not. If they type yes, that's fine, it's just going to run this code. If they type no, it's going to come down to this here, and it's going to continue with the rest of the code, and it's just going to loop over again, and it's just going to ask, please type the passphrase exactly, which is why you type no, That's why it prints this out saying fine and goodbye, but it then also asks us for the passphrase again. So what we need to do is we need to add a break in here. So a break will tell Python to stop the while loop. So if they type no, it's going to get to here, else it's going to run this and it's going to get to here and it's just going to break the loop. So it's just going to stop looping over. So if I run that, Jason Haze, I'm going to put it in correctly, let me in. So it's this bit, confirm the yes or no if you'd like to join. I'm going to say no, and that's fine. It just says fine, goodbye. It doesn't ask us for the passphrase again. So that's how we've sorted that using a break. So what else? So let's go through the options again. So we've got, I'm going to put in a band name. Okay, so this is it. So this was the issue I had with the continue function. So it just kept on running this here. So if I put a, where was it, else continue, I'll tell you what, we're going to leave that till last because I'll be able to explain it a bit better towards the end. So let's leave that till last. Let's just type in Jason Haze. We're going to check all options. So I'm going to put in the wrong password 3 times. You've been added to the banned list. Perfect. Okay, so that's that done. Jason Haze, let me in. You've got it right. Confirm the yes or no. We've done no already, and that works fine. I'm going to say yes. What country do you live in? Germany. Congratulations. Would you like to view the other members? I'm going to say no. That is fine. Welcome to the group. And it does the same thing again. It asks us for a passphrase. So we know how to fix that. We need a break somewhere. So where do we need this break? So we're saying if C members, type yes, that's fine. Else if print this, that's fine. Welcome to the, yeah, it's fine. Welcome to the group. So just like we did here, we're going to add a break here just to tell Python to stop when they type no. So we're going to say Jason Haze, let me in, yes to joining, Germany, and no to seeing the members. That is fine. Welcome to the group, and it ends the code. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got one more, which is Jason Haze, let me in, yes to join, Germany. We can say yes. So it prints this, but again it asks us for the passphrase. So let's come back here. So it's running this, and then it's going to run it again. So it's here. At the for loop, we want to break the code again. So we just want it to end once they have displayed the list. So yes. So basically, what we want to do is we want to create a break every single time a command has finished. So after we've had a result. So for example, when it came up with no, it would end. Technically, it would end the code. So Jason Haze, let me in. So we didn't need it here because there's a follow-on. So when you type in your full name, we're moving on to another question. That's fine. When they've typed in the correct passphrase here, it moves on to another question. So that's fine. It's, for example, when we typed in no here, we wanted it to end. So then that's when we had the break. We just want it to end, forget the loop, forget everything else, and finish. So that's what we're doing. We're just adding in the breaks. So now if we say let me in, it's yes, Germany, and yes to view any other members. Brilliant. So now it's included all the members, and it doesn't ask us for a passphrase because we put that break in. It's now just told Python to just finish the code, forget everything else that's after, because we've got the end result. So the only thing we had left to sort out was the so it was this. It was someone who's already a band member. We'll stop that. Come down. So this is causing an issue because what we're doing is we're telling Python to run all this code inside a while loop. So what it's doing is it's starting the loop. Bear in mind this is 0. It's starting the loop. It's checking here. So it's checking here to see if they're in the banned list. So it's in the banned list. So it's skipping everything and it's just coming down to this here. Now, the issue we have is this is now causing it to start again because it's ended the code, but it's a while loop. So it's just going to come back up and it's going to start again. It's going to check if it's under 3, and it is. So that's it. It's just going to continue running the loop forever, because this is always going to stay at 0, because all it's doing is it's coming in, it's checking to see if it's in the banned list, which it is. So it's skipping straight down to here and it's running the loop again, and it's always going to be under 3. So what we can do here is let's try a break, see if that sorts it. And there we are. So you can say you are banned, please contact a member of staff. Now the continue was an issue, I think, when we typed the password in wrong 3 times. So let's try that again. Please type it in. So wrong. Oh, okay. So that was it. So if we typed it in wrong once, it would just cut us out. So we need it to loop back over again if we type it in wrong. So what we can do is, so we're saying here, what we're saying up here, if the user passphrase is equal to passphrase, it's fine, carry on with the rest of the code. If it's not, we need to come down to here and we're going to add 1 attempt. We're going to say this here, and then it's going to check. It's going to check to see if it's equal to 3. If it is equal to 3, it's going to add us to the ban list. But we've got nothing to tell Python what to do if it's at 2. So if it's under 3 still, it doesn't know what to do. So it's just going to kick us out. So what we need to do is we need to create an else. So this else is going to say if the attempts, so they've got it wrong once. So this is now going to move up to 1. I'm going to just put that there at 1. If the attempt is equal to 3, do this. But it's not, because it's only at 1. Or it could be at 2 if it's the second time they've got it wrong. So now what? So we need to use a continue. So on the else, we need to put continue. And that will tell Python to continue to forget everything that's after that and to come back up and run the loop again. So it's just going to do that. So break is designed to stop the loop from happening at wherever the break is. Continue will essentially do the same. It will stop the loop, but it will make it start the loop again. So we can do that. We can test that, put that back at 0. Let's print. Let's run Jason Haze. So if I put it in wrong, you got it wrong, you used 3 out of 3 attempts, you have been added to the banned list, and then it cuts us out. And it cuts us out because just before it told Python to loop it all over again, it added our name to the banned members. So now Python's going to come back up, it's going to come down to here, it's going to go continue, then it's going to come back up, it's going to check if the attempt is under 3, which it will be because this will only be 1 if we typed it in wrong. And then it's going to see that we are in the banned members list, and then it's just going to kick us out of the program, say you are banned. So put that back at 0. So that's basically it. So you've been added to the banned list. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm sorry it was a little bit, probably wasn't explained the best. Like I said, I'm still learning all this, so this I just wrote. Once I learned about dictionaries and while loops and stuff like that, I thought I'd have a go at making something like this, just because it has a little bit of variety. There's different options you can choose. You've got out of 3 attempts, so I thought it'd be quite a good little thing just to talk you through. Now again, I'm pretty sure there's lots of better ways to write this, but it works. So that's all I needed to do at the moment. So hopefully this has helped. I'm going to do another video in another couple of days about Python probably, but I might have another video up tomorrow about something else. So if you liked the video, then please subscribe and like it. And I will see you in the next video.